Folks, we are live. Welcome to Talking Crit. I am one of your hosts, our Tenkari, a bartender in the OSR, and just in
Anyway,
time.
then I threw the guy through the window, and he called the cop. Oh, hey, we're started. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, my once only work
Oh.
spouse, the one and only Bad Mike Battolato.
I had to get a drink, and they laughed, and they started without me. They knew I was
With the weight of the show on his shoulders, or at least part of the show. All right, you got Mike on your shoulders, Jim. I'm sorry. It's like a game of chicken. In any case, the one and only Jim Kitchen. And our special guest tonight, Bill Barsh of Pacesetter Games. If you've gone to North Texas at any point in your life, you've met Bill, and he's also gone to many other conventions. There you go.
Oh, a few.
Just a couple.
Yes, there was yes, Dan. I had two typos. One that you pointed out, and one that Mike pointed out. I could fix the one that Mike pointed out a lot easier than I could fix the one that you pointed out. But yes, thank you, Dan.
I already miss Y'all King Crit. Y'all King Crit was gonna be it was gonna be awesome. It was gonna be so awesome.
It lasted a few hours.
Yeah. Talking Crit's very tame in comparison.
I you know what? I'll mind pouring out my drink, but I closed it before I did that. So there we go.
I'm still sad. I'm still sad about Y'all King Crit. Y'all King Crit was awesome. Why do we have Bill on again? I don't know. Is there something?
There's something.
You must be really hard up this week.
Maybe I wasn't going to show up, and they called you, and I showed up instead. So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that could be
well, I thank you guys for having me on. It's always great.
Are you having it in your closet? You're look how bright we all are. You look like you're Darth Vader sitting there, and
I know, and I do apologize. My office is still kind of a work in progress. The only light I have in here is a ceiling fan light, and it's kind of behind me, so it makes everything look dark.
You could light a small fire.
I'll get that corrected next time around.
But at least you have stuff on the walls.
I do got stuff on the wall, so I got some Pacesetter posters up, and I'm deciding where to put that. My wife got me a number of years ago. It's a handmade wooden flag, American flag.
Nice.
Okay.
It's got an army band in the middle of it, and I've got by band I mean green band, and then my badges and stuff. You probably can't see them from back here, but I can pull it up real quick, maybe. It doesn't do it justice on the little camera, but
yep. No,
very cool.
There you go.
I got all my badges and stuff now. Of course.
Nice.
Stuff, but anyway, yeah. So my unit unit IDs and stuff like that.
All the medals you won when you were a ranger.
Well, they're not actually medals, so there's a difference. So these are badges that you earn either by going to school or all of those were school badges, except the combat infantry badges, which you get awarded when you're.
You dodged all those bullets in Panama. You couldn't get a hit at least one time just for a Purple Heart. What is wrong with you?
Wow.
Jeez.
Wow.
So, combat and Desert Storm. I dodged them twice. So
I know. Boy,
I wasn't going to go for a third.
I guess lucky. Well, I guess lucky's better than a Purple Star.
That's right. That's right.
Purple Heart. I'm sorry, Purple Heart.
Yeah, it's all good. So anyway, I got to find a place for that in here. Just haven't decided yet. But all good. Other than that, it's just 100% gaming related.
Well, I think the reason we have you on is you're pimping a Kickstarter. I believe
we are. We are, and we can talk about that now if you like, or we can
sure.
Talk about it sure. So, we decided to finally do this Kickstarter, which has been an idea for us for probably 6 or 7 years, and we probably should have done it 5 years ago when the industry was probably bigger on this end, but it's something we always wanted to do. And those are basically pick a path books. So that's what this is. They're not adventure modules. They're nothing like that. They are your classic D&D choose your own adventure style books. And there's 3 of them in the Kickstarter. You can get one or you can get all 3. You can get the whole package in print for $30. I think it's a great deal. But anyway, again, it's something we promised ourselves we were going to do at some point, and we just finally said, here's a window, let's get it done. And they're all written, which is great, and we're just right now kind of wrapping up some art, and all we have is a couple stretch goals to add more art by our favorite artist Darlene. So we just are so excited that she's in on this project with us. But it's great. So before we get into our kind of our bigger projects for the year, we wanted to get this one going because we kind of want to do them every year. We think we're going to do probably a set of 3 every 12 to 15 months. So
Okay.
that's what we're talking about. So it's just if you like
So
those,
just a little bit about the pick a pass. So you're the same age as I am. We grew up in the 80s hit, and the 80s was the pick a path bonanza era because it was fighting fantasy, it was AD&D game books, it was Destiny. I mean, there was like 15 different kinds of these things.
Oh my God, Tolkien Quest.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the Tolkien ones were good. It actually had a little bit of an RPG system in it.
They did, and then like Lone Wolf and Cub Ray had a whole series.
The Lone Wolf one. Yeah, the Lone Wolf one. Oh, those were crazy. Yeah, those were.
Yeah,
really
was. You're right. In the 80s, it was we were in paradise for choose your own adventure style books, and
so it made sense though in the 80s though because you didn't have cable. Well, you had some people had cable TV. I didn't because I was poor, but you didn't have you didn't have a lot of distractions we have now. Why did you guys decide? Okay, here we are in 2026. We're going to do pick a path when you have so many you have so many different things competing against that. What made you
right?
decide on that?
And we know that from a business decision, this decision wasn't based on that. This was something we love these books. We love Pacesetter. We do a lot of solo adventures. We love that style of play, and Ben and his sisters kind of like their gateway for me to teach them about D&D was they read those books when they were little kids, right? So it was a great way to give them the idea of kind of what Dungeons and Dragons is about. So like Ben will tell you that was his gateway drug, essentially, that and the game Fantasy Forest to playing Dungeons and Dragons. So again, it's kind of like it's been a thing we talked about for a long time at Pacesetter. Ben has just such fond memories of those books. And we just decided, let's do something with this. Like I said, this idea came about probably 6 or 7 or more years ago. And there's just always something in the way, right? There's always other projects, bigger D&D things that are definitely more advantageous from a business model to be doing rather than doing pick-a-path books, where what you're saying is absolutely valid, Mike. There's so much competition against actually someone picking up a book and sitting down and just reading, right? So we're competing for that time with this kind of project. But this is a kind of you hear love of the game. This is love of the idea.
It's a labor of
Very
love.
cool.
And that's why we decided to do it. Sean says thank you. I appreciate that, Sean. Thank you. But so that's the idea behind it. And we were going to do this Kickstarter, honestly, to be perfectly clear. If we got 50 backers, we were going to do it. If we get 500 backers, it didn't matter. This is something we wanted to do, and we're pretty happy with it. We've got we're funded. We hit some stretch goals. We got more art from Darlene coming. I mean, who can argue with it? Just being able to do that for us is awesome. So,
Well, and so I'm curious, when you're sort of whiteboarding all the various paths, did you look up any sort of resources on how to write this, or did you guys sort of dope it out on your own? How did you construct?
Yeah, we've obviously researched what's gone before. I think we also have so much experience from writing solo adventures at Pacesetter. We got a pretty good idea how to flow chart these books, and that's the first thing to do. And that's I tell everyone, like when they talk about doing solo adventures, right? Other people in the industry are like, oh, I think we should really do a solo adventure. Like, hey, we're here to help. Give me a ring. We'll tell you the pitfalls to avoid and the things, that kind of thing. Because it's one thing to write a book like a pick-a-path book or a solo adventure. It's another thing to actually do the project. The story is the easy part. The technical process, like you're talking about, Jim, how to lay it out, how to make it work, how to flow chart it, that's not a whole lot of fun, to be perfectly honest with you. Because you do have to make sure everything links, right? You don't want someone to get to it end of a chapter and give them a couple choices and they read their choice, says go to page whatever, they go to that page and it's the wrong page.
And it's a dead end.
It's a dead end, right? Yeah. So those things are again, that's just part of the technical nature of doing these, which is not necessarily the fun part, but I think we're pretty good at it. Like I said, we've been doing this same sort of thing now for 14 years. I think we did our first solo adventure. So for us, we feel pretty confident of how it works. Now, it is different than a solo adventure because solo adventures are short inserts, right? Like they're 2, 3, 4 sentences, then gives you 3 or 4 things. You're bouncing around a lot versus a pick a path. You're more doing like paragraph style reading, right? Multiple paragraphs. It's definitely more narrative because there is no game mechanic that you're just picking. Yeah.
Well, and Ben's read enough of these, you've read enough of these that there has to be like the greatest ending ever. Then there has to be you're in chains and you're being dragged away to the pit ending. And then there are various flavors of endings
in between. Yeah. And so Ben had one of his, and you want to make it a product also that's kind of got, you can read it more than once. So, that's the other thing you have to do is you have to give enough viable alternatives to read through the book that you can read it a second time and not do the same thing and still get a good result or a bad result. 2 things on that. So the one, Ben had actually a really good idea because again, it's Pacesetter always at the forefront of us as we try to innovate something, do something a little bit different or newer. And his idea was when you in the forward of the book and introduction of the book, it tells you you're going to pick a character class that you're going to be going through this book, and they're the 4 core classes. You're going to be a fighter, you're going to be a magic user / wizard, cleric, or thief. And what all that really does in the book is that some sections of the book, it'll give you a class specific option to choose and basically go down a different path for that kind of entry in the book. So I thought that it added complexity to it for sure, but I think it just lets you again read through these novels at least 4 different times to do things completely different by picking a different character, your character class.
And is there like a rudimentary experience? Mm-hmm. You completed the first one, so you get you completed the best ending, so you get 10 points of experience. You completed the worst ending, your character gets 1 point. I mean, is there something like that to carry over?
Yeah, I think we have some sort of badge system award at the end, like this is how good you did, and that
right.
kind of. We're a little careful with it because we do also want to. These books are aimed at, like we say this, it's for any audience, and what we really mean by that is we're comfortable. These books are. You should be totally comfortable giving this book to your 8 or 10-year-old to read, or
sure.
give it to a 65-year-old to read. So we also want to make sure that we're not creating, barriers to entry right. or off-putting anything at the end, especially to kids, because again, one of the ideas behind this is here's the way. Hey, get these books. Read them yourselves. That's great. Give them to your kids, your grandkids as a Christmas present, and get them kind of into the hobby that way. If you right. haven't already in another way, rather than throwing a big rule book at them and a character sheet, this is an easy way to introduce people to D&D, and that's for sure one of the driving forces behind this was no one else is doing it, right? Probably for a good reason. Okay, it's they're probably not going to be giant money makers. We know that. But that's not why we're doing it. But again, that said, we're really happy where we're at, and it's done just fine. So,
but I think I would much rather, one of the things that I was thinking about because I looked at it today, this afternoon.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I really liked is that you set a very reasonable goal, right? And when I say reasonable, I mean $1,000.
Yep.
But if it gets to $1,000, we're shipping product. And that tells me that you're interested in trying an idea out and you want to see if it works, which is exactly what everybody always forgets that originally crowdfunding was to do that, to give an idea a chance and see if it had enough draw to get some oxygen and survive, instead of just turning into a pre-order system, which yep. a lot of it seems to be at this point. But I also enjoyed the fact that you're already, when I looked today, you were already 3 times past your goal. So you were already at $3,000. And I can't remember how many folks that you had that had backed. I think 47, I think is what I saw.
No, we're way past that now. We're in the low hundreds, and I think we're like 43, $4,400, something like that.
Sure. And
So
and
we're
again,
doing
right? So
we're
I'm
doing just great with it.
130 backers, 4508. Sorry.
There you go.
So okay. I love this just because it, you know, no game publisher publishes their own books. Well, here's Dragonlance, you know, and
Yep.
we're off to the races. And I like the idea that you've got something that isn't necessarily tied to a world or setting, and it gives you a chance to flex new muscles. So I love projects like this. I think it's a great idea.
I appreciate you saying that. And again, that was exactly our point. If we would have got 50 backers, it didn't matter. We were printing these books,
Right.
and we were doing it. The art is most of it's already done. We just wanted to throw a couple stretch goals in because they're fun. And
Yep.
the minute we hit them, the commission goes off to either if it's a Darlene's, we have specific Darlene stretch goals, and we have some for our Pacesetter our staff artists that we use. And we just send the commission off right away and say, hey, get to work. And because these are gonna come out relatively quickly after the Kickstarter. So it's just, like I said, a matter of getting some of the art wrapped up, and they're written. So the editor's going through them and all that. So
the next question I have is when you're going to publish a paper-bound book, a hardcover bound book, because there's two different options with the campaign. So is that, did you have to find a new printer? Did you have to find somebody? Did you have to find a book bindery versus who you normally use for what you publish with Pacesetter?
So we have again, without getting too far into the weeds of this stuff, we actually use 3 different printers at Pacesetter. We have one that specifically does all our one and a half that does all our hardcover books.
Yep.
So we've already worked it through them. It's the same one. If anyone out there backed our Up the Beanstalk Kickstarter, that came with a digest size hardcover book. The collector version, it's the exact same printer. They did just a phenomenal job with that. And I can pull one off the shelf. Let me pull one off the shelf.
Oh no, we've lost Bill.
Nah.
It was bound to happen.
Yeah, quality television. So this is the soft cover version of Up the Beanstalk. So it's a kind of oversized digest book and that kind of thing. And this is exactly how the soft covers of the Pick Paths are going to look like, or Choose Your Own Adventures. And then if you elect to do the hardcover version, this is the
nice
Beanstalk version. This is the hardcover. It's just a phenomenal book.
That's beautiful.
Of course, got a little reader thing and all that. So anyway,
and
all that. So that's exactly what these books are going to look like.
I think one of the nicest things to come about in the last few years is that a lot of game companies are realizing that you can put out these very small quality hardcovers. It's a bit like where horror and science fiction publishing was in the 50s, right? We're now seeing game publishers embracing this. I can do a limited run of 200, 300, 400 of a really, really quality made book. And it gives people something else to put on the shelf besides yet another A4 sized paperback or whatnot. And I love that the industry is stretching into new ways like this, right? So Zach Glazer's company has been doing this for a while, and I love seeing this. I think it's just great.
And by the way, ours are all printed. If it matters to some, not to others, we print everything in the United States. By the way, we've been doing that for 18 years. So these are also printed. So people tell you can't do it in the U.S. You absolutely can do it in the U.S. Yeah, does it cost us more? It does. I don't care because we know what we want and we know the quality we're going to get, and that's just it with that. So.
So you said you think
we also know the turnaround's not going to be forever, so we can turn them around pretty quick in the U.S., which is nice.
And you said you think the turnaround on this from after the campaign wraps up, you think it's going to be pretty quick to turn it back.
It's going to be probably within a couple months. I think we absolutely committed. Susie, I'm dog sitting my daughter's Malinois. So there's a thunderstorm and she doesn't like them going on right now. But anyway, yes. So the plan is 100% that these would make a great Christmas gift. So we'll have them in your hand so you can get them people before Christmas, even if you got to ship them. So
nice.
I know it's crazy to think, 2-3 months we're going to be thinking about that. But that's where we're at. As you can tell, the dog can open doors.
That's okay. It's a Malinois. I'm surprised it hasn't climbed you already.
Yeah, she's just super nervous right now. But yeah, she's a Malinois, so they can do anything.
So I guess that sort of leads into I sort of, you said you wanted to sort of shoehorn this into what was already your production schedule. What's coming on the plate for Pacesetter? What have you got that's
So behind that, behind the Pick a Path books, we are going into overdrive. So we have the 50th anniversary of the Palace of the Vampire Queen is this year. We have rights conveyed to us to do expansions and revisions. We generally, the IP is held by a company called Pracy Media, and they're doing reprints of the actual Palace of the Vampire Queen. We're working with them on this project, by the way, also. But we have the rights to produce like an AD&D version of Palace of the Vampire Queen or whatever, what have you. So that's what we're doing. We're doing a massive Palace of the Vampire Queen campaign. It's all 5 levels. It's a new old ruined castle above. It's got also the Blood Tower, which we ran the tournament in Texas. Is part of it, massively expanded from the tournament that we did. It's big. It's a huge project for us. And that will launch probably end of September, right around October 1st-ish on Kickstarter. And that will be for our upcoming Dungeon X rule system. And we'll also have a Shadow Dark version. So that'll be our first Shadow Dark project that we're doing at Pacesetter.
Very nice.
That's been in the works for a couple of years, and we're really excited to get that going.
So after you ran the tournament at Texas,
yeah,
did you find moments that like just blew up or didn't work that you were like, at night you were like, we got to revise this or we got to revisit this or we got to retune it? Or
I'm glad you asked it because we've been softly playtesting this for almost 3 years, almost 4 years now. So at LongCon we run a D&D tournament there every year, and we've been running the various levels, each level of Palace of the Vampire Queen at LongCon, just with new design, new encounter, all that kind of like just the core of what came in the original, but blown up. So we've been soft playtesting this and working on this thing for years. So that's exactly why we've been doing it. But it's great, again, significantly expanded from that. This is probably going to be in the range of 250 to 350 pages when it's all said and done.
Wow.
8.5 by 11. It's going to be huge. Multiple books. It's big. It's a very large project for us.
Are you exploring doing the fancy leather,
So we are exploring different. There will be a collector cover, and right now we're just kind of deciding what we want to do with it. And most likely it's going to mimic one of the original covers from Palace of the Vampire Queen. So will be the collector cover. The other one, I don't think Ben's allowed me to release the artwork for the standard cover yet, but we do have it. I'll send it to you on the side maybe.
That's all right.
But
let me be surprised like everybody else.
Yeah. Oh no, you know what? The issue number 3 of the Lantern's coming out next week. You'll be able to see it in there. We put it in there.
Oh, nice.
And that's free for everyone, by the way. Go on our website.
You should explain what Lantern is so that the people watching who don't know what Lantern is.
We'll get off that. So the Lantern is, last year we decided to, instead of just doing various newsletters and everything with Pacesetter, we decided to do our own in-house magazine, which is what the Lantern is. We're going on issue 3, and the Lantern is everything inside Pacesetter. So, and it's an 8.5 by 11 magazine, and it gives us the ability to kind of go into depth on things versus just like Facebook posts or what have you. So we can really get granular with just describing upcoming projects or even previous projects. We review don't review, but we talk about our older products, kind of where they came from and then what's going on with them, that kind of thing. So that was the idea for the Lantern, and it's kind of grown actually. So starting with issue 2, you get a free solo adventure in there now. So and it's going to be a continuing series. So issue 3, which will have the second part of that series, and we're also going to put a group play adventure in there. There's a new monster or 2, new magic item or 2. So we're kind of building it out to be like a full like gaming magazine, but still it's very Pacesetter centric, based on our system. Dungeon X is going to have a lot of stuff in there, and then our product lines. So that's what the Lantern is, and it's free to download. You can download it on Drive-Thru, or you can download it on our website. It's 100% free. Unless you want a print copy. If you want a print copy, you got to order it. I think they're $10-15, something like that. They're full color. They look gorgeous, by the way. Oh, just in case you had that question, this is issue number 1. right here. Oh boy, it's in a plastic bag, so it's hard to see.
Oh wow.
But that's issue number 1.
Because that was at North Texas.
That was in North Texas. We don't have a ton of number 1 left, and number 2.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So number 2's got the solo adventure in it. Also, by the way. So yeah. So that's one of our other new things that we're doing, and that's quarterly. We're doing this quarterly.
Well, and again, right? I think having a quarterly magazine devoted to not only a peek behind the curtain, but things that are coming, it makes perfect sense for again stretching other muscles. I think we've all seen companies that have tried a monthly or quarterly, and it goes for a while, but they lose direction because they lose focus, I think. And I think that's a pretty common thing you see.
For sure. And we don't want to.
It's tough. Monthly's tough, man.
Yeah, monthly's insane. I mean, to start monthly is crazy. So
right, and it wouldn't have been the point. Like I said, kind of the point of the Lantern is kind of to say, here's what's coming with Pacesetter. We also do some here's what we've done in the past, so people can kind of get an idea of, oh, this is what or previous modules look like, or as we reissue modules, you're going to get more information than we can convey otherwise in the Lantern. So that's the idea. And again, we're going to keep it. We're going to keep adding stuff, but we're going to really keep it Pacesetter centric. So, which makes it easy for us. And I think quarterly is 4 issues a year is plenty. We definitely don't need to do any more than that. So.
So are you thinking about taking outside submissions, or do you just want to keep it internally at this point?
Right now, we're keeping it internally. We will at some point be accepting outside submissions. Most likely when Dungeon X hits, that's when we'll start looking at other people doing third-party stuff. Kim asked if we're going to do a subscription for the Lantern. I don't think so right now. It's not in the plans right now. That's not a no, but it's also not a yes. So,
but it's a logistics headache. I think that's what it really comes down to. Is that.
And we're a small company, so it just gets hard. Right. And I know it gets easy. We want to make things easier for the end user, right? Always the end buyer. But sometimes it's just too tough for us to do that. So, but anyway, it seems to be fairly successful. I mean, we put it on DriveThru for free, and I don't know. The first month it was up. I mean, we did 600 or 700 downloads, which is pretty good for us.
Yeah,
so
that's spectacular.
Yeah, and it's staying strong every month. Where people are downloading the heck out of it. So
and it shows that people have interest, right? I think that's the thing that a lot of people just it blows past them and they forget this or they don't understand that. But you're giving people. I mean, I hate to say the analogy, but hey, kid, the first hit's free.
Yeah.
And then they've got a chance to sort of take a look at what you've got under the hood and figure out, is this something I'm interested in or whatnot?
100%. Again, we're in October, we're going to be 18 years old here at Pacesetter. So we've been around for a while. And I think, again, what the Lantern gives us the opportunity to do is it gives us the opportunity to talk about projects that are, out of print, that might be coming back in print. And it gives people that look inside Pacesetter and say, hey, this is what these guys are all about. And you can kind of see, back product that's going to be coming forward again and that kind of thing. So that may not be familiar with us. We do have a lot of people been around with us since day one, and that is absolutely spectacular. But then we have people who've been just, got into the fold the last couple of years, and they're all, you get the email, oh, what have you guys done before? And it's like, okay, you need to go look at this because this is going to be.
Hey, Bill, do you run into guys? I think this is really interesting because, you're as old as North Texas, which I think is awesome because this is our 18th year this year. And we get people that roll in. They're like, hey, I've heard you got this convention. How long you been doing it? And they're just shocked here. It's 18 years. Like, oh, I thought this was like 4 or 5 years old. I didn't know you guys had it going this long. And I mean, what do you when you run into those people, it must be fun because what do you say to them? Like, we've been around a long, long time. And
it's surprising, right? And it's hard to answer because you don't want to offend anyone either, right? You absolutely don't want to do that. And,
where have you been, punk?
Yeah. I'm like, we've been around. Oh my gosh, and we do get that because we started, we do try to go to different conventions. And I think when we just started going to Page, when Page started up out east, we've never been to an East Coast convention at Pacesetter. So we go to Philadelphia, and now we're exposed to all these people. And we were answering that question a lot. they're coming up and they're looking at all our stuff at our booth and all our different books, and they're like, wow, how long, where does all this come from, and how long you guys been around? And you say, well, we've been around for about 17 years now. And yeah, they're like, wow, I've never heard of you. And it's like, well, that's why we're here. But that's on us. That's how we always look at it. That's on us. You don't know about us because we haven't done a good enough job of telling you.
We famously really don't advertise very much anymore because we sell out every year anyway. And we're afraid if we start advertising, we'll get more and more people that won't be happy because, there's only, you only lost 600 people in there. How dare you advertise this? So we don't really advertise anymore, but we still get the requisite amount of people. But we get people to this day. Like I noticed that, I looked in the back of your module that I bought here the other day, B1 through 4, and there's a whole list of stuff that you guys published. Can I get that stuff? And I'm like, yeah, no. Unless you have a lot of money. Like some of those were from the very early years of the con there, and they were like 100 copies, and they're just like, oh man, you gonna reprint them? We're like, no. But so you have the chance to get those people because you're like, oh yeah, we're going to reprint that. Like the last time I saw you, Bill, I bought a copy of Thing in the Valley. I bought the anniversary edition of Thing in the Valley.
Yeah, we actually started doing that, and I will pull some samples out. So because with Dungeon X coming, one of the things we're doing with Dungeon X hitting, there you go. There's a classic. And I know people have asked if we should reprint that. I don't know that that's ever going to happen. Look at that, right in the cam.
Damn it, he's kicking my ass here. I can't grab. Hold on. All right, well, she can play at this game, sir. She can play at this game.
Oh, jeez.
She can play at this game,
so
sir.
That's a
very
super
nice.
Early.
Hold on.
Vengeance.
Mike,
it's RC3. This is R3C3.
So it's probably a first print if it's got that.
Yeah, it's got to be. I think that is first print RC3.
It could be a second.
Oh, it's signed by Bill, and it is 18 of 100. Wow.
It's the first print.
Okay.
From 2000.
Take that, Jim. Take that, sir.
I was just cleaning my office, and I laid them out because I thought it'd be fun to show off. It's a tough crowd tonight.
That'd be.
I got in the other room.
A lot of people. We didn't print a whole lot of those. There's, depending if you get the Swords and Wizardry or AD&D version, there's less than 100 of each. So there's not.
Wow.
Around.
Yeah, I have 2 of the old box sets from Pacesetter, but they're not in this room, so they're not within my range to grab.
So we started.
Bill, I sold I believe one of because Doug Ray was very much a supporter of you guys. You know that, right?
Yes.
He loved you guys,
Yep.
and he bought 3 copies. I think 3 copies of everything you guys ever put out until a few years before he passed away.
Yep.
But I believe at the auction a few years ago, we sold a copy of first print Thing in the Valley, and we had you sign it. I think it went for $250.
You just sold one for $500 a year ago.
Maybe it was more. I thought $250. Maybe it was more than that.
No, you just sold one for $500. It wasn't.
Wow.
It wasn't this year. It was the previous year. So it would have been 25.
I mean, it was the first thing you count with, and it was the first print.
Yeah, it was the highest I ever saw a Thing in the Valley go for.
Dang, well, that went more than the one.
253. But that one went for $5 at your auction. It was crazy. So what we started doing, Mike, is because Dungeon X is coming out. We're going to make sure we have that Dungeon X is 1,000% supported. We're not going to put out a rule system and then have no product. So we've already been on it. So we're doing what we call commemorative editions of all our modules.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
And this is number 12, so final chapter. This was actually Q4 back in the day. We did a Thing in the Valley.
Oh, yeah, I got that. That's the one I bought. Yeah, I got that right.
Yeah, already. Yeah.
Yep, that's what. Yeah, that's what I saw. I can't. Did I see it? Must have been North Texas. I have
probably Circle of Fire. Again, one of our first modules done for BX and it's BX and Dungeon X.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yep. So we're going through and we're kind of doing them. I'm picking and choosing. I'm not doing them all necessarily in order. But so we're doing Screaming Temples coming out next week and Storm Over Skyreach. So 2 older ones again. They're BX and their Dungeon X combined.
You guys had a good project about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. You guys reissued all your tournament modules. And I bought a few of those. I kind of lost.
So we did those. So we only did those. That was the only time we've really ever done a subscription thing is we did that. And we reissued all the tournament modules in collate. They are all done in collated form. like Spiral Bound.
Very
and,
nice. Real nice.
And there was a group of subscribers who bought them all, and they're actually getting the last set in about a month.
Wow.
But they bought all the tournament modules, like numbered 1 through like 19, I think it is, something like that. So they're about to get a cool little box set coming up because we put the last 4 in a box or 5 in a box for them. So we're kind of excited to get that out. But that was the end of that. So they're getting done completely different now. Those are in original form.
I feel like I can say this, but I think Doug would be really happy where you guys are right now because like I said, he was a huge backer of you guys, and we owe
a lot to Doug.
He really wanted you guys to succeed. That's why he bought so many copies of everything.
Well, he bought 3 of everything whenever it came out back in the day, and I will always say that North Texas helped Pacesetter get in the game, as it were, because you guys treated me so well down there. All the attendees who bought all our stuff every single year, gave me the confidence to keep doing it and the support to be able to build Pacesetter. And that happened through Texas. And we tell everyone who will listen when we talk about going to conventions, right? We always, how we brag about North Tex, but it's to us, that's Pacesetter's home convention. And I know it's 1,100 miles away from us, from Florida to Texas, but that's our home convention. We would never miss it. And we'll support you guys forever.
Just a short little question. You don't have to, we won't have to name names or get too into it, but you guys aren't doing a lot of conventions this year, right? You guys are kind of pulling back a little bit.
We pull back. So we're doing North Tex, obviously, because we never miss it. And we're doing LongCon coming up in November.
Oh, yeah, I'll see you there. Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be at LongCon. And then I will be at Page in January. So that's it for right now. That is, for right now, that's going to be our convention circuit until we decide that we kind of want to do more. It's a little, like, logistically, it's a little different now. I'm down in Florida, so going to the Wisconsin conventions are a little bit tough. I miss going, but to go to Gamehole for me is like a 7 to 8 day ordeal now. And it just has to also look. Gamehole is an absolutely fantastic convention, and I'll probably just go next time I go, probably just as an attendee. But to drag Pacesetter all the way up there, to spend the money that is required to do all that, it doesn't really make a lot of financial sense for us to do that up there. The demographic of Gamehole is just a little different than of the traditional Pacesetter supporter or buyer, I guess I'll put it to you that way. Especially the way with look, when 5e was ripping, it was a different story. 5e is a train wreck right now. We've dropped 5e completely from our product line. So we don't even produce anything in 5e anymore.
What's one of the sad things about that, Bill, is that when 5e was just trucking, it actually supported, and this is one of the things, when we talk about, when the big dog's going, everybody else is going too. When Starbucks is doing good, all the coffee shops are doing good. Well, when 5e was just trucking along there, you were able to put out, you had a 5e version of it, but you're also able to do a BX version of it or a Swords and Wizardry version.
So what it did, Mike, is it, like, we started out doing BX stuff and then AD&D and BX. That was we've done that forever. But what 5e did for us is it allowed us to do these projects and do them at just a grander scale, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we never would have done an Endless Encounters Dungeons for just BX. It would have been financial suicide for us to do that. We never would have sold enough copies. There's not enough of there's just, look, we're BX people, but there's just not enough of
it enabled you to do these other editions
to put into a project like that to make it work. So when you've got 5e out there and you can sell 1,000 copies in 5e, that just, knowing that we've got that in our back pocket, then we know that we can print 500 copies for BX.
Right.
And we're good. Even if we got to sit on them for a little while, the project pays for itself and then some. So 5e didn't just do that for us, by the way. And you know this. They did it for Frog Guy. They did it for a whole bunch of companies.
Absolutely.
5e, you did your Kickstarter, you offered it in 5e and another rule system, and 75% of your backers were 5e, 25% were in your other system. You never would have been able to do that project in that other system.
Well, Frog God, God love Swords of Wizard. It's one of my favorite retro clones. But if it wasn't for Pathfinder before it, and
Right.
then
Same
mid
thing.
5e, it would have never. It was 25% of sales. I mean, 75% of it was Pathfinder at the time, and then when Pathfinder went under, then 75% was 5e. You know, when the winds changed, and that allowed you to have Swords of Wizardry. That's why we have so many great Swords of Wizardry adventures out there, and 3 or 4 different, you know, rule book editions. And you know, when Watsy killed the goose that laid the golden egg just by, and then not even really just killed the goose. They just basically, you know, put enough fear in everybody with the OGL debacle that, you know, that changed history. Everything changed at that point. Then everybody decided we better have our own system because we can't trust. So that's when you had Shadow Dark. That's when you have Dragonslayer. You have all these OSC. You have all these new systems because nobody could trust Watsy ever again to, you know, to actually be good stewards of the name of Dungeons and Dragons.
That's a whole other topic. Can I answer Valimar real quick?
Sure.
The Bill can straight face. Can you be running anything with pre-2000 D&D and basic deck? I'm assuming you can Dungeon X, and you absolutely can because we're doing a project with the Holmes family. You guys all know about that. Our John Eric Holmes stuff. We're doing all his Peril campaign stuff from that he wrote in the 1970s, where we're taking all his maps and notes, putting it together. So when we did Islands of Peril Book 2, this book is for that. It is 100,000% BX compliant, and it uses Dungeon X stat blocks, which have obviously more information than you use in BX, but it's also every piece of stat block that you need for BX is in that stat block. You don't need to change a thing. You can run this book that's written for Dungeon X and run it in your BX game. Just ignore the part of the stat block that you're not going to use. That doesn't apply to BX because the rest of it's all identical. The movement rates are the same. Experience points charts are the same. The hit numbers, combat number, we include ascending and descending in our thing, and ascending and descending AC. So you can absolutely run our Dungeon X stuff built for Dungeon X with any BX adventure module. You can pull out Keep on the Borderlands and run it in Dungeon X and not miss a beat.
That's great. And, you know, we used to do that anyway because we would do around my table, we did AD&D, we did D&D. You know, everything just went into the hopper, and you just did all the calculations in your head. But if it's you know exactly, that's great. That's even more material.
You're right. You're not the to hit armor class 2 number for a 1-hit die creature in Dungeon X is the exact same number as it is in BX. It's exactly the same. There's no difference. The experience points are the same. The only thing that is like we have it more broadened out. We've got more in our stat blocks that parts of the rule system in Dungeon X don't exist in BX. Like we use DC checks, difficulty checks and difficulty saves for saving throws and to make ability checks, that kind of thing. But we include both options in our Dungeon X rule set, so you can use both. But that stuff's in there. Now you don't need to use it obviously in BX, but it's there if you want to. All the stuff is 100% compliant, and again, Dungeon X is not a BX clone. It was never its intent. It's not a clone of any D&D. It's just what we say. Dungeon X is Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, and if the things we hear about, TSR, Watsy wants to license out stuff like BX and 1E, that can only help you guys. That's even more material to run with Dungeon X. That's even more material out there.
I don't think they're ever going to do that, to be absolutely honest with you.
Man, they've gone back and forth. I don't know.
I love it, but I don't imagine that's ever going to happen. If they do license it out, they're going to charge some licensing fee that's going to be insane, and you can't sell enough of it to make it work, right? And I know people are going to say and point things. Well, look at OSE. OSE is a completely different animal. OSE is necrotic gnome, okay, and they have their followers that don't necessarily buy everything BX. They buy necrotic gnome, right? So that's that. We have so many factions in our industry. It's honestly it makes your head spin. And there's nothing wrong with any of that, by the way. So You should like what you like. Period.
No, you should have your, if you want to play your particular flavor of D&D, that should be that. That's why it always drives me insane when, you know, I mean, let's take like Greyhawk, and we'll talk about Dark Sun in a little bit. But Greyhawk, you know, Greyhawk came out, and we're gonna do Greyhawk for 5e, and everybody's like, oh man, it's not gonna be this, not gonna be that, gonna be whatever. You know, who cares? You do your own Greyhawk. You should be doing your own Greyhawk anyway. You shouldn't be doing WotC's Greyhawk at this point, unless you're just, you know, severely lacking in materials to be able to figure out what you want to do. And I mean, so as long as the support is there, I really don't care how terrible the, you know, the product is. I'm not going to play it anyway. It's not written for me. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to play it. I do get upset when they don't respect the material. But you know, the more material, it acts as a gateway drug, I think, to other people, because there'll be people that buy Greyhawk that say, oh, you know, I just read an article that said this Greyhawk sucks, and I should look at the original Greyhawk. And I picked up, you know, Morden Kane's Fantastic Adventure, and it was awesome. Man, right. Who's this Rob Kuntz guy? Does he write more stuff? Like, well, no, he really doesn't. But, you know, and so I think that as a gateway drug, it's good in terms of, you know, we're going to support. That's why to this day, I know I'm rambling off topic here, but that's this day, I don't understand why TSR sat, and then WotC after that sat on 20 years of reprintable material. And just that, you know, we don't want to dilute our brand by the people. They were selling to people like me and Jim and Eric and you, Bill, that weren't going to buy the new stuff anyway.
Right.
But we would have bought, you know, Isle of the Ape, you know, special expanded edition, you know, or just like Goodman's Games. I mean, I love Goodman Games. You know, I don't play 5e. They have a 5e version of, you know, I'm looking on my shelf right now. I've got all the Goodman Games 5e version, but they also have the regular version in there too. I buy all those. I love that. I support that stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's great that people do. And like, we're real fortunate here that we've had the opportunity to do things like Palace of the Vampire Queen, right? And I think, you know, we respect the IP of Palace of the Vampire Queen, and everything we do with it, and I think that's important, right? And I don't think if just because you can do something, you should. If you don't have a passion for it or respect it, then you probably should just stay away from it. And you know, that's why we're doing. That's why, like, people have asked us for years, why have you not just leveraged Palace of the Vampire Queen like we probably could have? And we're like, because we knew the 50th anniversary was coming. You know, we're not blind. We weren't blind to it. And we said, let's do this. It's the first adventure module ever written for Dungeons and Dragons. It's got the first big bad boss ever presented for Dungeons and Dragons. It's literally the first, I would consider the first mega dungeon for Dungeons and Dragons. And it needs, that IP needed to be treated respectfully. And I think when that project comes out, I think you're going to see that. And we've taken the time to do it that way. And the same thing goes with our home stuff that, you know, the Holmes family came to us with all their stuff, like I mentioned before, from John Eric Holmes, you know, the guy who designed the first D&D basic set with his home campaign and all that. So we, you know, slowly been putting out a couple of books for it. And we stopped the presses on that last year, you know, about a year and a half ago now, and said, nope, we're doing this different. We're going to slow it. We're going to do the same thing we did with Palace. We're going to just build it all up we're going to build it all at once and put it all at once. So that'll be launching in January, February timeframe, called Campaign Apparel. So it'll be all the home stuff. But I think it's because we respect that what came before, right? And who did it. You know, I don't want to speak for Chris Holmes and the Holmes estate, but they came to us at Pacesetter for a reason, okay? And we didn't approach them. They came to us. And I think they came to us because they saw how we were treating Palace. They probably talked to people in the industry. And, you know, we're not the biggest company in the world, but I think we do things, I think our perspective on things, I should say, makes us a little unique sometimes, right? I mean, it's not all about the money. It's not all about being the loudest voice on the internet for us. We just kind of, you know, at the risk of virtue signaling myself to death here, we want to do things the right way, and we want to try and present the right way. And that's who we are. And the reason we do a lot of things is the reason we do a lot of things. So.
Yes.
So we're excited about that. So, so that's us in a nutshell. So again, like I said, the Pick a Path series book was like, if we don't do this now, it's going to be another 2 years before we can get around to it, because we've got, again, Vampire Queen coming out, Campaign Apparel coming out in January, February, and then the Dungeon X Kickstarter will launch in the spring. But by the way, so the Dungeon X rules will be free to everyone to download in basically just document form as these every time you do a launch. So you can get the best of both worlds. You can get the Dungeon X version of Vampire Queen, and you can download the rules for free.
Cool.
They're not significantly changing in the next 6 months before the Kickstarter launches. We're just fine tuning a few things. Like I said, we're already printing stuff for Dungeon X. We know that side is done. This is more monkeying around still with player characters and stuff like that. But the DM side is 1,000% done with Dungeon X. So, like I said, you can download the rules for free. We're going to limit the windows you can do that though, because we'll be making modifications as we go. But when Dungeon X comes out, the Kickstarter comes out, we didn't want to present a rule system that had no product support.
Right.
You're going to have more stuff that you could probably ever play available to you when Dungeon X ships. It's going to ship immediately, by the way. We're running the Kickstarter. The books are going to ship immediately. So, so much so that look for something fun at North Texas to go with that next June.
Ooh.
So.
Oh wait, we're gonna have you back in next year. Oh, I didn't know that.
Unfortunately, you're stuck with me for a while. I know. But that's what's going on at Pacesetter in a nutshell. So we're and not to, like I said, even in between, we're doing these commemorative books literally one's coming out every month right now. It's super exciting for us, and we're busy, and it's a good form of busy.
Well, folks, we put the Pacesetter link in the chat, and of course, the Kickstarter link is in the chat. It's on the bottom of the screen. If you saw the admittedly screwed up thumbnail, again, I was pointed out, I misspelled Pacesetter. God help me! But
I haven't seen it, so it's all good, Eric.
But
what did Madonna say? Any publicity?
18 years he's got disrespected
like
that.
I used a piece of Wonky's artwork for the thumbnail. He does some amazing work.
No, Wonky is and for those that not know, it's Keelan Hallerson, who we take the credit of this for discovering Keelan. That's kind of an inside joke for us, but Keelan does a ton of artwork for us. He does all of our cartography because he's just that good. And he will have art in the Choose Your Own Adventure books too, by the way. He's got art in there. So, by the way, I didn't mention when we do another kind of, I'll let you guys hear. This is I think first time we've announced this publicly. The Campaign of Peril, the Holmes Campaign of Peril project in January will be, again, we're doing everything in 2 rule systems essentially. So Dungeon X and then a second. The second rule system for Campaign Apparel is going to be DCC RPG. So
very cool.
And it has been a minute since we've done a DCC book. I talk to Joe every year about doing another DCC book, and we never seem to be able to get around to it. And we're not only doing a new DCC project, we're doing it's a campaign, adventure, and book project. It's going to be multiple books. It's huge. And that's going to be for DCC. So first time in 10 or 12 years since we've done a DCC book. So
wow,
we're really excited about that too. So, we love DCC as a game, but again, it's one of those things we just never really got around to. If we had a bigger staff, we probably would have done more with it. We just don't have that kind of staff.
Or you could just work harder because you probably don't work very hard.
Well, now that I'm retired, I can actually spend more time doing this stuff. And that's kind of why you see us getting around to it. I mean, we talked to Kelsey 2 years ago about Vampire Queen. I mean, it's been in the works with Arcane Library for a while. So, but it's just it is what it is because we know things take time.
Yep. So do you ever sit there in a summer day like today and and go, man, maybe we shouldn't have moved from Michigan. Maybe
No, not even for a second, Mike. And I'm gonna tell you, for those of you who don't know, I moved from Michigan down to Florida. Both my daughters live down here, so there's a family tie also. But I do not miss Michigan winter for anything. And
you should
Michigan
see the
winter
look of horror on Jim's face when I said that.
is
To even
7
contemplate that.
Michigan winters are 7 to 8 months long, and we drop below 70 in late September, and we don't see 70 degrees again until typically, May 20th to June 1st, and we basically barely see the sun. So I don't miss it at all. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Florida from June till middle of September, about 3.5 months, is your walk out of your house and into an oven that has a steam bath connected to it.
Bill, we've had over 100 degrees for the last 4 days.
Right,
we got 7 more in a row coming, and I would still take that over the northern winter.
We aren't that bad. We're upper 90s.
It's terrible,
but the humidity's rough.
So bad. Yeah, humidity's
it's that part. It's not fun necessarily, but I don't care. You still just get out in the morning. I get out. I walk 2-3 miles every morning. No big deal. You do things.
Well, you can do things outside. You could go swimming when it's that cold outside in Michigan. You can't do anything.
You can't do anything. You can't do
like this, and
no.
You're bundled up, and
I work primarily outside my adult life, so I'm here to tell you, -5 degrees for 2 months straight is not any fun. And I know I don't miss that at all, because the other 7 to 8 months in Florida is 75 degrees, sunny with no humidity. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I'll take it all day long. I mean, I don't know. I love it. Like I said, for me, it's quality of life decision, as I'm older now and all that. So I'm absolutely happy with it. Yeah, but you can't sugarcoat the deep summer heat. I mean, it is what it is.
You just put up with it. We have mild winters in Texas, but and you know that you're going to get beaten to a pulp in the summer, but it's worth it for not having the ice and the snow and like you said, 4 or 5 months where you can barely even go outside, and you can't start your car because your battery died overnight. Just
exactly. If I don't have to scrape another windshield off, on a car the rest of my life, I'll be a happy man. So, yeah.
Digging a car out. Oh, after the plow plows you in.
All of it.
Oh, yeah,
all
that's right. You've had to.
What was the worst is you dig your car out and the plow plowing you in.
Yeah, then the plow comes down. Yeah,
and then they plow you back in before you can do anything. So yeah.
Okay. Then they're done all that. No, thank you anymore. I'm happy without any of that. Yeah, it's all good.
I lived in Minnesota for 12 years, and I'll never get those 12 years back.
No.
They went by, but you don't really remember
like a prison sentence with absolutely no chance of commutation by the governor.
Right.
And in January, you would get the week and a half to 10 days, about 10 days of -40. And I explained to somebody today, you don't understand what -40 is until you experience a week of it, which is why, and Bill will appreciate this, we took our son to Disney World like a week after that -40 snap. And we're walking around Disney World in January, and they had an unseasonable cold snap where it was 65, 70 degrees.
Yeah.
And everybody else in Disney World is bundled up in jackets and puffy coats. And we were walking around in T-shirts and shorts because it was literally 70. No, it was almost 100 degrees warmer than what we had been living in. And we saw another family walking towards us in shorts and T-shirts, and they pointed at us and went, "Wisconsin?" We went, "No, Minnesota." And they were like, "Oh." And it was not.
It's and Jim's not making that up. So the funny thing about down here is I mean, I'm one of those guys. I wear shorts 12 months out of the year. It doesn't matter. If it gets down to the 40s and 50s down here, I don't care. I'll just wear shorts and a sweatshirt. That's what I'm wearing. But it's funny because when it gets to a certain temperature down here, it gets cold, and by cold is like Jim says, 65 degrees, and all of a sudden you see the winter jackets pop up on all these people walking around. You're like, what on earth? Oh my God. That's just, it's nuts. It's nuts. The wool, wool hats and gloves, and you're like, It's 55 degrees. You people act like it's 10. It's hilarious.
We get, and during the winter, I'll wear the shorts and the t-shirt and the tennis shoes getting in the car when it's cold. But by the time you get in the car and you turn the heater on, and as long as you have a jacket and sweats in the car, just in case your car breaks down, you're fine. All you're doing is walking from your car door to the post office or to the restaurant. I don't mind rolling around in t-shirts and shorts all year round because Texas, at least the part of Texas we're in, doesn't get that cold to where it's just like it's an issue. Where, oh my God, I really need to bundle up today. We'll
get like this winter. We had a couple weeks where it was like a week here and a week there where it was like it got down to like 30, 32 degrees. For maybe the middle part of the day or whatever, middle part of the night, whatever. But it's like, okay, it's like that for a week, and then oh look, it's 65 degrees. I'm going out in my t-shirts and shorts, and I'm going for a walk, and it's all good. Kim says she needs to get out of winter from Wisconsin, and I'm sorry. I'm saying this. You come down here anytime. You can come and visit anytime you like. So
I'm saying this, and then this pops up on my computer: excessive heat warning for your area. Please do not like that. And then I start realizing that they're talking about me now because it used to be if you're old, don't go outside and breathe the air, or walk around. I'm like, well, those old people sure got it rough. I'm like, oh wait, that's me now, isn't it? This warning is exactly for me.
Our heat index for the last week to 10 days has been like 111, 112 every single day. It's freaking nuts.
We're sitting here at, let me see, it's 8 p.m. in Central, and it's 99 degrees. It just dipped below 100, which is better than I'll take it though, Bill. I'm with you.
I know, right?
I'll absolutely take it.
With it. Just deal
you
with
can
it
always take clothes off. You can only put on
I do,
so many
Jim,
layers.
and you know me. I do. I take them off constantly. And
you're the most clothing optional person we all know, Mike.
Yeah, sometimes in the wrong place and the wrong time, but they do come off. And and like I said, you can do things. You can go swimming. You can, there's things you can do.
You just do stuff indoors when it's super hot, right? I mean,
I went to the warehouse this morning. I just went early. I went early before it got hot.
Okay,
I was there by 8 o'clock.
We have somehow detoured into the old man yelling at clouds and the weather.
We're just living up. Okay.
I feel like there needs to be an intervention, and I'm going to be the one to do it.
All right. Well, let's move on. Yeah.
Let's talk.
So we got to talk about a 3-week-old interview of 2 sentences or 3 sentences that exploded this week, and a variety of opinions about this. And so if you did not see it, one of the current Wizards of the Coast game designers, I believe he was interviewed at Gen Con. I think it's an interview from Gen Con.
It was at Gen Con, and it took like 2.5 weeks for it to even pop up, which is bizarre.
So somebody turned this into the most clickbaity thing that was making the rounds a couple of days ago. And Eric, Mike, and I had a brief tete-a-tete about this and talking about
we had a long tete-a-tete.
And so the 2 points that the guy made was and I'll come back to Valamir's comment in a second. Don't put it up yet, but we'll come back to this in a second, right? So first of all, he essentially said that there wasn't going to be slavery in Dark Sun the way that it had been, the new Dark Sun that's coming for 2027. And he then threw out some political garbage about in current times, blah, 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 and tyranny and so on and so forth. I'm not going to do the full quote. But Mike and Eric and I then had sort of an interesting crosshash of conversation. Now, I want to now's the point where I'll bring up Valamir's comment. You guys need to get back to how much WotC sucks. I don't like
it. Back to that. Did we ever leave that?
Bring it up because no, it's not that I not want the floor again, but I want to talk about this because we have some very interesting, wildly different opinions on this. And so, Mike, why don't you go first?
Well, I don't think I'm going to be. Look, here was my opinion about this, and this has always been my opinion. Is I think that it should always be talked about. It doesn't mean that you have to have clickbait YouTube, 1 hour long YouTube shows about, oh my God, there you go, WotC's going to ruin the world again. Everything's going down the toilet. But I think that there's a question that deserves to be asked, especially when the lead designer of a project throws that out, and we just roll our eyes, because at this point you
I'm
just roll your
sorry,
eyes.
we don't know if he's the lead designer of Dark Sun. He
Well,
is a
probably not.
product designer.
Yeah,
Like,
but I mean, you roll your eyes, you say, "Here we go again." They're doing this, that. But at this point, I don't have a lot of faith in. They're still paying for me. They're still paying for the OGL fiasco in terms of, we didn't know what we were doing. We had a whole 2 years when they had no clue what was going on. They had Apple and Microsoft execs running the company, trying to do online stuff and do tchotchkes instead of actually running games. There was not one single person up there that actually knew that had ever played D&D. They thought it was a video game. They had no clue what was going on. So when I see the little pieces of success that push their way through, I'm like, okay, well, that's better than it was. But I don't think this kind of thing helps at all, because when you have a legacy product like Dark Sun that has problematic elements, word I kind of hate, but I use problematic elements, you got to know that that's the one thing that your legacy audience, who you have to be appealing to. You're not just selling this to new people. Like, say, hey, you don't know what this thing called is Dark Sun. We're going to say this thing Dark Sun. There is a buzz about it among people our age and among the older community. You have to know that when you start taking away certain aspects of the setting, people are going to grumble and they're going to make noise. And so I haven't seen anybody from WotC go, hey man, you guys need to shut up. We don't know. I mean, they're letting people talk about this. It's okay. Look, it's something I don't, maybe I don't agree with, but I'm able to say, it's not like they're saying you guys are stupid, which, by the way, was said when there was Mexican orcs. They were telling us we were stupid. Oh, there's Mexican orcs. You guys, no, there's not. That what are you talking about? That's just, you guys are just, that's awful. Like, I know these are, it has become. This is the best part about Mexican orcs. It's a meme now. It's actually a meme. I'll just open a Facebook page at random and I'm flipping through there and I see somebody talking about Mexican orcs. I immediately know what they're talking about. It became a meme. It was so ridiculous. It'll probably outlive us all. I don't see that as.
And I love that. Let's be clear. I love that. And one of the things that I enjoy, I'm going to chime in. One of the things that I enjoyed. Now, Mike is absolutely right, because when people were reacting to the god-awful illustrations of the dwarf bakery and the Mexican hat-wearing orcs and everything else,
take that out of my mind. Yes.
The people behind, the principles behind 5.5 were on the internet daily, sharpening knives and throwing spears. And what I would say is, now I can be wrong and certainly correct me in the comments, but I have not seen any of the current regime going out of their way to pick fights and tell the chuds to go back to their corners.
What's wrong, Mike, man? Dwarves can't bake cookies in their sandals. What's your problem? You don't like cookies?
I always have a cat in my Smithy bakery.
So again, Mike, have you seen anybody from WotC poking at people the way that Perkins?
No, because I think they're letting the game come to them. Now, it may be not the game that old timers want. It may not be the game that I want. And I'll be honest with you, I don't shop WotC and I don't buy WotC stuff. And I'm not the consumer they're looking for here. You're not the consumer we're looking for. And I do take amusement when things like, when they say things to me that are contradictory, like, well, there is forced military servitude and indentured servitude, but there's no slavery here. I'm like, isn't that just the same thing? You're just not using the S word. I mean, what's going on here? Why don't you just, just either do one or the other? And I do think they pandered probably a little too much to the outgoing regime people that were more accepting of those things. But in the end, it doesn't bother me because I don't care anymore. And somebody just said in there, this is the least surprising thing that WotC could have done of anything Ty said it. Thank you, Ty. The least surprising thing that Dark Sun could have had since Ellen came out. But I mean, it's least it is, because I don't think anybody really expected anything different. And that's one of the reasons that we were given for years and years about kind of behind the scenes. Oh, WotC's never going to do Dark Sun because they won't do cannibalism or slavery or, this or that. And so we had already heard this for years and years and years. We were just happy that, they're going to do some kind of a Dark Sun, but I'm not surprised they're, but it's not going to be your daddy's Dark Sun. It's going to be it's going to be more PG-13 and not.
Well, no, it's not going to be PG-13, Mike. It's going to be Field.
Whoa,
It's going to
whoa,
be
whoa.
sealed.
One
Remember,
at a time, one
it's
at a time.
adult. It's adult. By the way, before we go any further, I want to give Alan credit.
This is
for-
the best. That's the best line of the night.
It's the new A1 to 4. Against the slightly oppressive and rude employer
Employer
lords.
rights.
I
say, sir, why don't you go back to your position there, rowing the boat? I do not want to row the boat. They hold up a sign.
You have to row the boat.
Union.
You have to row the boat faster. The captain wants to water ski.
Okay, roll and see if you hold up your sign that says Union. Oh, you got it up. You're sure. Oh, okay. Let's see. 15 other rowers decide to stop rowing too. You must go back. Norma Ray, go back to your oar and keep rowing. No, I refuse to. Yeah.
Are you done, theater kid, or what? What's going on here?
Wow.
So I do have
let's roll. Now I gave my nuanced response. Let's hear Bill's.
Go ahead, Bill.
So my not so much nuanced conspiracy theory is. So let's take the Wayback Machine to back when I'll try not to be too long about this. So when 5.0 came out, right? D&D 5.0 came out 2014. If we want to remember back, WotC pandered a lot to the legacy D&D crowd, right? They're asterisks on the cover. They're doing, hey, we're going to do Tiamat. We're bringing Steve Winter in to write something for us. They did a lot of that. If we think back of what that environment was, it wasn't what 5.0 turned into. It was not like that back then. They absolutely tried to appeal. I know, Mike, you said you're not your target audience. That's bullshit.
Yes,
you absolutely were their target audience because you have disposable income.
Right.
They wanted people like us to come back to D&D because 4.0 just wasn't doing it. They put all this money into 5.0, and the idea was, hey, let's appeal to the legacy D&D people. They're going to spend some money. We're going to do alternate covers on our books. They're going to buy those. Let's put out Tales of the Yawning Portal, which is all old TSR modules in a book. They're going to just buy into that. And I'm okay with that. I was absolutely okay with all of that.
I'm sorry, everybody was okay with that.
Absolutely.
Everybody was okay with that. And that's 12 years ago, which a lot of people have forgotten.
Right. So follow me here. That happens for a number of years. And then what happens? Lucy pulls the football out from underneath of us and we go flying because now they're denigrating the people who originally wrote the game. We've got pink beholders. We've got Mexican orcs. We've got dwarven bakers. The list goes. I can't even remember all the crazy ass shit they did. Forget the OGL debacle. They filled the game with this stuff. They loaded their company with people who decided that modern sensibilities need to be into a role-playing game because that's how we're going to change people. Okay.
So let me throw something out. What you really rightfully pointed out is that the pendulum started somewhere, I'll call it a little off center, where they were trying to bring both old people and new people into the hobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the management behind 5.0, and I always sort of sum it up by saying Mike Merrills. That Mike Merrills was the guy who drove a lot of 5.0 and was the guy who drove a lot of what that content was that came out of the gate. And the problem is that they became so successful and they were making so much money that eventually the rot started from within. And that's when the pendulum swung completely to the other side. And we wound up with orcs with sombreros, and I'm still not sure where.
Right. And, all the other stuff that went with it, right? All the other crazy stuff that went with it that we don't need to reiterate. But that's what happened. And then years go by, they lose the audience of, I don't know about you guys, I haven't bought a 5e book in years. And I did originally. I have a whole shelf of 5e stuff over there. I did for a while, and then they just
I got a secondhand Secret of Saltmarsh because somebody said it was very respectful of the original material. And I traded something for it. It was fine.
It's definitely fine
for 5e book, but I didn't buy it. I didn't pay money for it. I don't buy it.
But it's okay for people, legacy people, to do that. And look, the flagship, whether people like it or not, Wizards of the Coast and D&D 5.0 and now 5.5 is the flagship of the industry. You can hate that, but it doesn't change the fact that it's true. The rise of 5.0 is the same rise as everybody like Pacesetter and Cabal Press and Paizo and everybody else went right with them, okay? So that happened. That was a thing. And then they poisoned their own well. Okay. And now we've suffered through this. Their solution was, hey, let's put out 5.5 and double down.
I think it was part of the problem. It wasn't the solution. It was the final end game of how bad things were at WotC.
Right. It's right. They got to where they really wanted to be. Okay. Well, whoever was all the, whatever, management, their creative team, everyone, they got the 5.5 is a culmination of where they wanted to be. And they got there and it was just dud, right? I mean, everyone can acknowledge that 5.5, the whole industry with D&D, West Coast D&D is flatlined. It's a train wreck right now. So what happens? All of a sudden at Gen Con, all of a sudden they're showing up at Gamehole and they're showing up at Gen Con. And now they start talking about, hey, we're bringing Dragonlance back. Hey, we're bringing Dark Sun back. And there's a new sheriff in town. And there might be. I don't know. But here's the deal. They've done this to us before. The exact same thing they're doing now is what they did when 5.0 came out. And a number of years later, they pulled the football out from underneath us. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying, look, you really need to read the tea leaves here. I don't like what they're saying about Dark Sun. I ran Dark Sun for a year. I can actually say I ran a Dark Sun campaign for about a year. Our players liked it. We enjoyed it. We did it. We did it one time. It was enough for us. We didn't need to play again. I'm sorry. Turning Dark Sun into, forget this, like we're going to pull this and this out of it, which I think is just dumb. But we're going to turn Dark Sun into a slasher horror film of D&D campaigns is I don't understand that at all. And why do you need to have it rated mature? Why do you think that's a good idea? We didn't need that back when Dark Sun came out. It didn't embrace any of those things. Why? Because it didn't need to, because it was so innovative, so different, and honestly so cool on different levels that you could enjoy it. You didn't need to have a bunch of naked women in it, which is supposedly what they're probably going to do. Probably naked men, knowing WotC. Okay, so
I mean,
right, and you're going to have
intrigued.
They got to put a video out with people getting decapitated, their skin getting ripped off, and all kinds of other crazy stuff. Oh, it's rated MA. Isn't this cool? Isn't this cool? Well, I don't know. It might be to a certain segment. It's not cool to me. I don't need any of that in my Dark Sun because that's not what Dark Sun was about at all. So I don't know that they can hit the mark. So
I think, Bill, I think that's a sop to the. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think the reason that they've made a big deal about the increased violence in the setting is to say, look over here, but not over here. Over here,
1,000%.
We're removing the word slavery, although we're still going to have slavery. We're still going to call slavery.
You're stealing what I was going to say next is look at the shiny thing in this hand.
Yeah, look at this. You can chop heads off. The guy's head's going to be chopped off. It's going to fly 30 feet. You're going to roll the dice. If it rolls a double aught, it's going to fly in. I mean, it's right. Definitely exactly what it's going to be.
I don't know. So I just, like I said, this is, Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. We're way past that with them. I'm just going to wait a long time and then figure it out because I just don't trust them. They've done it before. To me, this feels like they're doing it all over again. They need and why, again, there's always a why behind everything. And we haven't even talked about their whole branching off and doing World of Warcraft and Star Wars, D&D. Well, why are they doing that? Because they need money. They need money badly. So, but I think the reason that they're virtue signaling with Dragonlance and Dark Sun, they need that over 50 crowd that has disposable income to come back and start buying their stuff again until they can figure out another way around it once they get into their subscription based stuff and all that.
And this happened, right? This happened in between editions.
They need. I'm sorry to say it, Mike. You are their target audience. I know you are.
This happened between fourth and fifth. Remember, between fourth and fifth, they came out with the gold books, the nice hardcover reprints. They came out with the really I liked the Dungeons of Dread and the other compilation because I just thought they were cool and I wanted to support that, so I bought that because I said this is actually throwing a sop to the old guys here. And they did that. They had that brief 1 year between editions where they said we're going to reprint the original rule books, including Unearthed Arcana. We're going to reprint the S series. We're going to reprint the A series. Back then, Slave Lords wasn't a verboten topic. and you know, I know a lot of people don't like those compilations, but I liked them, and I thought that was at least
solid.
Yeah.
But well, like I said, Mike, I don't know. I just with all these announcements, this is going to hit. And I understand they're trying to bring people into, you know, the Joe Mangelos, the Luke Gygax is in, and that kind of thing, to say, hey, we're turning a leaf here, yada yada yada, and maybe they are, but you know what? There's an equal part of me saying maybe they're not. And right now, I don't have any reason. Look, Dan Ayuk could be the nicest guy in the world, and he might mean what he says about like Jim, what you said, bring that pendulum back. But man, that's an awful big ship, and there's a lot of people there. Look, they got rid of a lot of people. We know that, but did they get rid of all the people they needed to get rid of?
So I'm going to jump in with a few things here, and I want to. I'm going to try to go back, but I'm also going to try to be brief. So number one is I never expected Dark Sun to be. I never expect anything that WotC puts out to be exactly what it was before. Because frankly, when somebody says, and I think, Bill, you made this point, when somebody says that Dark Sun didn't need mature warnings previously, well, when Dark Sun was coming out in 1991, 92, the hobby industry was very, very different. And I can tell you why the mature warning label is going to be on this. It's so that little Timmy's grandmother doesn't buy Dark Sun and give it to little Timmy, and then little Timmy's parents flip out. You know, like that's it. Like, have no illusions otherwise. This is to head off little Timmy's grandmother from buying the wrong thing at the holidays and giving it to them and having this blow up, because they don't want angry phone calls. They're going to get all kinds of other angry phone calls, but that's really the heart of this.
I think it's part of it, but I also think they're leaning into slash.
Well, let me
right?
get to something else.
Yeah, you go ahead and get to that.
So this kerfuffle came up a couple of days ago, and we had a sort of exchange about this. Now, Mike and Eric, one of the things that came up before this, when they showed that trailer the first time at Gen Con and it aired out live, one of the very first things that people threw out was, everybody's got way too much metal, everybody's got way too much metal, everybody's got way too much metal. Which, if you didn't play Dark Sun or weren't familiar, metal's impossible.
It doesn't, yeah.
And so I called in a marker and I contacted somebody at WotC and I said, what the hell? Like, you know, and that person essentially said, you're not wrong. We saw it and we all had questions. And it turns out that they have not suddenly, there's no just giant metal mines of whatnot. Like, some of it's glass, some and so on and so forth. And in fact, I shared a quote with Eric and Mike the other day when this came up, and sent the same note about slavery and so on and so forth. So I've called in 2 of possibly 3 favors. I'm down to 1 wish, I guess, on the ring. But I think that no matter what, like, there's people who are never going to buy it. Right. But I think, to Bill's point, sorry, I'm pointing at Bill here. I think to Bill's point, what we all need, whether the industry wants to believe this or not, or parts of the industry or part of the buyers believe this or not, we need D&D to succeed. And I think that we're probably 2 years away from 6.0, maybe 3 at the most, but I doubt it. I think they're trying to put 5.5 to death as fast as they possibly can, because 5.5 is the steaming, smelly reminder of exactly how we wound up with orcs in sombreros.
So, Jim, you mentioned that you put a call in and talk to people. I've also done something similar to that, and I can almost guarantee you we're going to see 6.0 in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that
and that's okay.
Exactly what you said, which is, we need D&D to succeed, and we needed to bring new people into the audience, into the RPG market, because if it does, then they can discover other things. Now Chubby Funster has getting ready to do a crowdfunding campaign in a it's not Dark Sun setting. And he said the other day, this is the greatest thing you could possibly do for me, right?
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. I think, and I talked about this a week or so ago, sitting in the audience, the problem with the live video from Gen Con is that it didn't have mics in the audience, because one of the most fascinating things, and Bill, I think you were close, but you weren't spot on. the World of Warcraft, Dark Sun got the biggest reaction, right? Because that video is a big visceral kind of heavy
Sure.
metal-ish
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
video. But when they announced the World of Warcraft stuff, that got the second biggest reaction in the crowd. And I think my point to that, and I talked about this, is we, the four of us, are older gamers, right? We're all hitting that 60, 65 period. And World of Warcraft is aimed squarely at the mom and dads who are coming out of their 40s and into their 50s who have kids who are never going to play World of Warcraft. Like I got a 22-year-old who's never playing World of Warcraft, but he is interested in Black Temple. He's interested in some of the raids and so on and so forth. So like, if it's a hit and it creates new customers, this is not a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing at all.
I don't either, by the way.
Right.
Can I bring up one thing real quick? And so we kind of already talked about this, but Greg, who is Chubby Funster, he is coming out. He's Johnny on the spot, man. The guy's a great marketer. He is coming out with his revised and expanded Dark Sun at the end of the year, and I've seen a preview of it.
I'm sorry, it's Dark Sun-esque.
Shadow Sun.
Shadow Sun. Eric, have you seen the preview? Has he shown you some of the stuff? It looks awesome. It is going to be awesome. And believe me, I mean, look, he's going to make bank on this, and I'm happy for Chubby.
Yes.
He's a great guy. He's
He'll
going to
have
make bank on this
$250,000
because
Kickstarter.
he is doing the dark and dirty, grimy, cannibalistic slave, Dark Sun. So,
I have the original Shadow Sun in print, and he had showed me that when he was working on that one, and it blew my mind because he's got the feel while at the same time staying away from anything that could be an IP violation. So he did very well with that. And the revision was in the works before they even,
right. It's going to turn out to be like Kelsey, who came out with Shadow Dark right when WotC crapped the bed, and then boom, everybody went crazy. I like Greg, and I hope that happens with Greg, because Greg works hard, does good in this industry. But I mean, I read that, and I'm just saying, anybody wants to look at that, I read it, I enjoyed it.
This is great, but let's talk about a couple other things, right? So all of us on this channel are parents in some way, shape, or form, and I don't know if I would throw Shadow Sun at a group of 10-year-olds. I don't know if I would send the new version of Dark Sun to 10-year-olds. I know that Dark Sun was, when I look at the old TSR marketing for Dark Sun, it was a brutal, in your face, Jim Ward's infamous "everybody should be in bikinis," blah 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 blah. But this also proves the yin and the yang of all of this, right? We need WotC to create new customers with the most recognizable brand of role-playing game. But then as players mature and they realize that the ecosphere is not this, but it is much wider and much deeper, that's how you get the pace setters. This is how you get Shadow Sun. This is how you get Shadow Dark. And my last point is this, right? So I wanted to kick off this discussion, and I brought up the thing that said, "Oh, when are you going to get back to bashing WotC now?" I don't think it's fair that we are. I don't want to be on the show that's just renowned for bashing WotC all the time.
Right.
They have those shows, by the way. They're already on YouTube. You can find those shows.
That's right. And really and truly, one of the things that I would like to believe that our show does is we highlight a lot of third-party publishers. We highlight folks like Pacesetter and Bill because we like them. We want to talk about their projects. We want to talk about their experiments, right? Bill, we're talking about your Kickstarter tonight, and this is not a $250,000 Kickstarter, but it is something you guys have always wanted to do. And frankly, I think it makes good sense to highlight this to our audience, right?
Right.
I genuinely want to believe that the pendulum is swinging back. And I don't need the pendulum to swing back to the craziest deep end of the ocean, the other way from whatever the theoretical 180 degrees from orcs and sombreros. I don't need the pendulum all the way over here. Just give me some decent treatment and I'd be happy. I think we can fall into old habits. And I see Ty's comments. I see that. I understand that folks aren't going to buy WotC products, and I understand completely what Bill said. I don't disagree. I've talked about being burned. I've talked about being burned on that terrible, terrible, terrible book of Vecna that they published a couple of years ago.
Oh,
Right.
Yep.
And I've talked about my abject disappointment in that. But again, I think that is far more on the heads of Perkins and the rest of the crew. I think we are very happy as consumers to see WotC engaged at conventions in a way they haven't been. Will it last? I don't know. Do I have
well,
my fingers crossed?
I'm going to give you one. Here's one thing that I think, and I think this is why it's good to talk about stuff like this. I think the regime that came before, and boy, please don't tell me take the knee pads off here, guys. Let's listen to what I'm saying. The regime before didn't care what we thought. Matter of fact, they if they could beat the chuds, they were happy to make you angry and piss you off. I've seen at least a modicum of, okay, we do care what you think. And if there is this giant outpouring of people going, I don't understand why you're saying this and doing this, I at least have a modicum of pinch of faith that something might be done about it. Whereas in the last administration, there was no hope that anything was going to be done about anything. They just absolutely didn't care about anything we thought. And I hope that's true. I'd like to see that true. I would like to see people talk about stuff and then have somebody at WotC, maybe Dan, maybe somebody else, say, you know what, we heard you. You said this, and we're going to do this. And I think that would be awesome.
And I don't think Ty says they're empty gestures, and I disagree. I completely disagree.
It's
they
too
spent more
early
money
to
than they ever had
know
to.
the results of the actions. You don't steer this ship immediately. It's going to take time. It isn't like owning like a one-person business where you can pivot.
Let me sum it up this way. And this is why I disagree with Ty about empty gestures. I know of one thing I can talk about in public and one thing I sure as hell can never talk about in public. So I'll talk about the one I can talk about. So you guys know that I'm an auctioneer at GaryCon. And you guys know that I've been an auctioneer at GaryCon since 2011, 2012. Like 2012. Anyway, I have been an auctioneer at Gen Con since 2011. And I can tell you that Wizards of the Coast has contributed absolutely nothing to the Gen Con auction and has contributed nothing to the GaryCon charity auction until this past year. And this past year, Ayub and Wizards donated a trip to the Wizards facility in Renton. You could play with people and so on and so forth. I don't want to misspeak myself, but we raised a hell of a lot of money with that. And while you can say it's lip service and it doesn't cost Wizards anything and so on and so forth, actually they'll pay for the jet, they'll pay for the accommodations, the people who want it. I've heard nothing but good things. And my point is that we can say it's lip service, that all the rest of this is just PR and smoke and mirrors and shiny thing over here and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, they sure as hell did not have to donate an item that raised $25,000 for charity. And they intend to do something for at least the GaryCon auction every year going forward, where nobody's getting a percentage of this. All the money raised goes straight to Children's Wisconsin, which also lets me say that if you haven't heard, I think that people will be very pleased with the charity partner that we're going to announce for GaryCon. I don't think it's public yet. I'll have to double check. But all this other stuff, this Dark Sun stuff, right? What I said to Eric and Mike the other day is that there's such a lack of information. And this is a point I made to the person at WotC that I reached out to. There's such an incredible lack of information that any little tidbit that comes out is not only immediately pounced on, it's dissected, and it is thrown up on spear points, and people are looking at all of this. and when you look at how this reaction is, I don't want us to be, I don't want this show, I don't want our channel, I don't want all this to just be this endless cesspool of endless negativity towards Watsy. I think that I think that Perkins, I think Wizards had a lot of great momentum and then it went off the rails. And I think what we're seeing is they were trying to come back. And I hope they come back. I hope they do the right things. I think they're moving in the directions we want to see. But again, we have to wait and see. But
Well, Jim,
they're off to better starts than the last 5 years.
I'm going to say that's true, but I also will say that in this case, and we talked about this in our discussion this week, it's different if it was a rumor that we heard that was unsubstantiated and we did a 2-hour show on it. That's irresponsible. But it was a quote from a designer.
Sure.
And it was pretty straightforward quote that they said there's not going to be slavery in the game. I think we can discuss that. I don't think there's anything wrong with discussing that because it is pertinent to the information. Now, would we do a 2-hour show on it? No, because it's just like you said, it's taking one data point and basically elevating it to, some of the worst internet YouTubers, aka Clownfish. And oh shit, can I not say that? I'm sorry. Edit that out later.
3 times, Mike. Go ahead.
Get Eric kicked off, but there's YouTubers out there that take these stupid things and they run for it for an hour, and then when they're proven wrong, they never follow up on it because they move on to the next sensational topic.
There's always another cycle.
There's other sensational topic or just something they're going to blow out of proportion.
No, I agree with, like I said, I agree. I don't want to come off as too negative. I was just on another show with Angelo runs his show, and he had me on the other night. And I'm going to say the same thing. So I don't want to come off as a hater. It doesn't do me any good. I'm too old to be that person. I don't need to be that person. I do, like I said earlier tonight, I want D&D to succeed from the IP holder and the flagship of the game. It needs to succeed. It needs to be that, okay? And a lot of people out there say, well, no, it doesn't. I can use my 1 ebooks until the day I die. Okay, that's great for you. You know what? I think you should. If that's what you want to do, great. But that's not for everybody. And at the end of the day, this is an industry, and we need the brand holder to carry the brand. I mean, it really has to be that way, and not poison the well and I think they did a lot of damage, and clearly by us talking about this for an hour, they did a lot of damage. Mm-hmm. And do they want to correct some of that? Well, not even correct it. Do they want to maybe chart a different course right now? I think probably that might be true, but they're going to have to prove it to me. And they're not going to prove it to me by doing announcing things. They're actually going to have to do it. I'm going to have to see it, and you're going to have to do it for a little bit where I feel comfortable saying, okay, I think D&D, the IP holder of D&D is in a good spot. They have the interest of the entire D&D community at heart, and not just one faction of it that agrees with them politically.
Yes.
Right? They need to just be a company, run a good company with a great product that everyone can at least appreciate. It doesn't mean you need to buy it, but at least appreciate the game for what it is. And that's not where they're at right now. Hopefully that's where they're trying to get to. And I want them to succeed. I don't want them to fail. I don't root for them to fail. That would be awful for all of us at the end of the day.
That's right. You're throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Because we were there. I don't know if, my memory sucks, but I remember when TSR was going under. And if someone didn't come in and white knight them, that was the end. Okay,
it was done. It was going to be done. Yep.
I don't think you'll know how close we were to losing this. All right, and it's not even just D&D; it's all of gaming. Now I know companies have kind of really got good footholds now, but the Chaosiums of the world and that kind of thing. But that wasn't always the case, and it may not always be the case. So we need the brand holder to do the right thing, and I'm hopeful by what they're saying. But man, you fooled me once. Okay,
yeah, that's right. And you can't turn a super tanker overnight. We've talked about this endlessly on the show.
Yeah,
I think the fact that 1 year, Ayub started at Wizards a year ago in August. We've all heard little bits and pieces of what the first few months were like. They're back at Gen Con. that's a pretty major accomplishment. But even then, that seemed to come about fairly quickly. We'll see what they do as we go forward. I'm hopeful, right? I'm just hopeful, and I haven't been hopeful about anything from WotC. I'm sorry, but yes, the stupid Vecna book was the last thing I bought, and I was absolutely just. I mean, I've ranted about it.
I feel bad for you because
I don't know how you got past
I got a
Rick
PDF from
Rubin and Candlekeep Mysteries beyond me.
I got a PDF from some mysterious source who should not be
you
named.
too,
And
huh?
I read
Yeah.
it, and it was
It's terrible.
Look, I have not read anybody yet that liked it, and I won't throw people under the bus on here, but I could go over names of people in the hobby that I brought this up with. They said, "Yeah, it's a piece of garbage." I mean, all the names you'd expect, and some you wouldn't expect, are just
Well,
like, "It was terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible." And
The part of me that is cautionary about all this is I just think a lot of those people who did that stuff, Mike, are still there. We could say management's gone, this, that, and the other. But there's some creative people there that simply did not have the talent to do what needs to be done. And we get products like Strixhaven and Candlekeep Mystery.
I'm going to throw this out there though. You can't
blah.
you can't fire everybody overnight. You can fire this guy, and you slowly let attrition take place. And this guy leaves. This guy realizes that they aren't going to like what he's writing anymore because it's garbage, and he's leaving. And this guy, it turns out that the guy that he liked a lot doesn't work there. I mean, you're going to start attritioning these people, and they're going to start leaving.
I hope so, and I hope, for the sake of everyone, I hope it works out. I'm not super inspired about what I'm hearing about Dark Sun because I just think these people have completely missed. If they haven't missed the entire concept what Dark Sun is, they know what it is. They don't care. They're doing their own thing. And look, I'd be two-faced if I didn't say you shouldn't innovate and make things better. You absolutely should. You shouldn't just reproduce 1990 Dark Sun.
Should we give them any credit? Like I said, once again, should we give them credit at all for okaying Dark Sun and saying, "Hey,
no, 100% we should." Yes.
Number one is we've gone 180 degrees in less than 3 years, and the person who said we'll never, ever, ever do Dark Sun is no longer at WotC.
Yeah. Agreed. Right.
Number one, that's the most moment.
By the way, he said that. He came out and flat out said that.
Yep.
And you're a favorite Brink guy, right?
And that guy's gone. So let's be clear. That guy's not there anymore. So this is the last point on Dark Sun, and then we'll call it. And it wasn't Crawford. It was
okay,
one of the other.
I couldn't remember.
So interestingly, I was the very first wedding I was ever a best man at was my friend Keith, who I've known since 5th grade, and Keith's wife is not well, and Keith's wife had an MRI today, and we are waiting for results, but this very well may mean hospice. But to get Keith's mind off of all things, we were talking about all sorts of stuff. And I remember that Keith was a big Dark Sun guy. Like Keith loved Dark Sun. Like was really, he knows the jackass that tried to bring a 36th level Hierophant Druid Thri-Kreen into a game because the guy had figured out you could min-max with crystal stars and so on and so forth. And I have most of the Dark Sun content. I don't have all of it, but I think the thing that I always come back to is I played the computer game. I had a lot of this stuff, but it was always just a fairly tightly focused part of the overall world. And if this new version of Dark Sun adds to that and gives us more city states and so on and so forth, I'll be happy. I'll be very, very happy about that. I'd like to see worlds expanded upon. I'd like to see worlds grow. And my fingers are crossed on all of that. But I think we're in wait and see mode for quite a while on a number of things that people continue to rant about in the comments, which is fine. But if you don't want it, don't buy it. I don't.
This is probably the most I've commented on the comments.
Well, you're watching it
ever.
Click and click. But the fact of the matter is that I'm looking at people who just keep saying the same thing, but in new sentences, which is fine. And okay, like I get it, but you don't. there are people that they would never be able to make happy, right? I go back to the Stoics. I always start thinking about the Stoics, and then I start thinking about the Serenity Prayer. I can't make WotC do anything, right? I have said for years, dear God, if you ever do a sequel to S3, it should be a different section of the ship. Like somehow the section of the ship in S3 attracted a different section to come land on Greyhawk. That's the sequel. Don't do something cobbled together by somebody else, but do that. Like that's interesting to me.
You know how we do TSR sequel stuff here at Pacesetter just for fun?
What's that?
Well, you just gave it away the next one of the next ones. So
You're welcome. So let's talk about other stuff. But more than anything else, this show and this channel, Eric's channel, is not about toxic WotC rants all the time. I think
Right.
we aren't here to speed bump each other. We're not here to slow each other down on opinions. But I think the one thing that Eric, Mike, and I and our guests, folks, we don't have the unhinged bats, loony people ranting on here. And if we start to rant, I'll just, I'm done. I'll walk away. I'll leave because there's business reasons why you can't have some of this stuff. You may not like it, but the WotC basic set isn't aimed at 60-year-old guys. It's aimed at creating new customers that are 12.
Jim, is it going to be better than the Spelljammer reboot?
Dear God. Like I was cleaning my office the other day and I found that and I just was like, God, what was I thinking? Right? It's just so terrible.
Hold up 1 second.
It's so awful.
it's so bad.
At least Mike's wearing pants. All right,
It's
So
No,
I
it's
had
just-
forgotten that I went to ReaperCon about 3 or 4 years ago, and a guy was blowing these out, and you couldn't guess how much I paid for this. Look,
$10.
$10.
Nope. So the retail on this is $69.99. He said, "Would you do half price?" I said, "No." He said, "20?" I said, "Okay, I'll do 20." I had him a crisp $20 bill.
And you know what though, Mike? Just
And I haven't opened it.
Looking at that shrink wrap thing, 3 books in a slipcase, right? Probably with a DM screen.
With a little, it looks like a map or DM screen in there too.
Yeah, the DM screen. For $70 is a steal. That would be a steal. That to me, that's $125 item right there. That is a steal, and it should be epic. And it's not worth cracking the shrink
Look
wrap.
at the
It was
fucking
tepid.
cover.
It was
Look at
tepid
this
on
cover.
words.
What am I looking at?
I don't think I would have chose that.
What am
No.
I looking at? I'm supposed to be looking at
Space
Spelljammer.
hamsters, man.
And
Space hamsters.
I don't think I would have guessed.
fighting in space with giant brain ships, and they're fighting
Okay.
pirate. Look at this shit. What is it?
It's
Is
too.
that a bad? Is that Gary
it
Oliver's
away.
badger friend?
No, that's Boo.
It's
Remember,
Space
that's supposed to be
Yeah,
Boo.
is that what it is?
Yeah.
I never even took it out of the thing because I read the reviews and I said, well, I'll just keep that. Maybe it'll be worth something someday. Of course, I do need a doorstop, so I'm probably.
There you go.
Hey, I use my unopened in the shrink 4th edition rules box set as a doorstop. You're not alone.
You don't. Now that I think about it, I think I did pay $25 for it. I thought it was 20, but I think
You paid $5 for the wrap.
I think I paid 25 for a $70 because this guy couldn't get rid of them. And he was like freaking out because I think he had a bunch, and he was like, "I just
You'll
he
take a
couldn't get
loss
rid
on
of it.
this.
That was
whatever.
that was definitely
Just-
unfortunate.
Please move it out of my house, and I'll whatever."
It's Boo. It's Boo. It's Mink's partner.
Please, could somebody shoot me now, or do I have to wait for later? Because if that's what that is,
So we did look up, and it's Kyle Brink. Kyle Brink's the guy who shot his mouth off.
oh
and
my
said that
god, that
Wizards
guy
of
is
the
a
Coast
quote
has no
machine.
immediate plans to bring back Dark Sun, calling the classic setting, quote, problematic in a lot of ways, quote. And that guy was the executive producer of D&D, and he is no longer there.
Well, that was the same guy that said, "I don't need, the hobby doesn't need 55-year-old white men."
Yeah,
That was the same
doesn't
guy.
want
Good luck
well,
with
he just can't wait for us to leave, Bill.
Well,
Yeah.
he was the first one to go.
He couldn't wait for us to
a little
leave.
bit of irony there.
He showed us the way.
Fulfilling
He showed us
prophecy,
the
I
way.
guess. Yeah.
Somebody
show
has
us
to
how to
blaze a
lead.
trail. Let's wish him all the best.
By the way, I'm once again. I sent Eric the link. If if you want to support Dark Sun, but you don't want to buy Watch Dark Sun, wait for Chubby to come out with the expanded and
We'll have him on.
edition.
We'll have him on.
You guys will have him on.
It's a platinum bestseller. He sent it to me. I read the PDF. I loved it. And this is the old one.
Right.
He also sent me the information. Here's what the expanded one's going to look like. I was wow. You need to submit that for a Three Castles Award. That looks incredible. And so I'm just saying, wait a few months. Hopefully we'll have Greg on. Greg can talk about what he's doing in the expanded and revised edition. But it looks like it's going to be probably what you want more than what Watsy's going to give you. This is going to be more what you like, I think. So sure. I was really impressed. I wasn't even a big Dark Sun fan growing up at all. And I told Greg I would play his version of Dark Sun. I would play Shadow Sun because I like the Shadow Dark rules, and I like the way he merged it with the rules, and I thought he did a great job. So
he's got to do the coiled flip books because that's you got to get the first adventures are actually a lot of fun to run.
Those flip books. The problem with those flip books, and Jim can back me up here. Have you seen what those look like? They didn't stack right. All the cover. Every time you auction one,
and I know, and the box sucked. And it just got crushed.
What are we talking about?
The Dark Sun supplements. When the Dark Sun boxes
those were terrible. They were terrible.
They just did.
I mean, it's such a classic example of what was so wrong with TSR at the time. The boxes are flimsy, and if you blow on them, they crush.
Yeah.
Right. Then you've got Planescape, where we let the art directors smoke a lot of something and come up with something that's really difficult to read. Not that the content, right? But then, because that wasn't difficult enough, Planescape has its own weird language. And if I hear the word Burke one more time, I'm going to scream.
Come on, Burke.
And then, as if that wasn't enough, somebody was like, wait. We should do audio CDs. This is going to be incredible. And they're just the level of terrible that's too awful for words.
Got some right down there. I'm not going to pull them out.
Don't bother.
But I'm looking at my trash can right now because I threw away a Wavestorm CD today.
Yes.
Because oh my God, those like multiplied like rats.
If you really ever want to put yourself through torture, listen to the Planescape audio CD, the Planescape audio adventure. The CD is horrific because one of the Mimirs is the one giving you all the clues, and it's just too bad for.
They were throwing anything against the wall back in those TSR, the late 90s.
So, Mike, what do you got music wise?
Well, Jim, you said last week that I was a little too predictable in top 40, and I said I'm going to show that son of a bitch. And so, hold on one second while I get my CD.
That's what I look for is challenging Mike.
Yes, because I don't want to be boring and this guy does the same shit all the time. So let's see what we got here. All right, what do we got?
Because I got 2 movies on deck for you, buddy.
I did go a little classical. I've got some Led Zeppelin. I got Physical Graffiti, which is a 2 CD set. Physical Graffiti is one of those Zeppelin albums at the time I didn't listen to a lot because I really liked the first 4 albums. So I didn't listen to it a lot, but as time went on, the same thing with their album Presence, I listened to it more and more, and it's really good because this is their album where they said, we're going to do a lot of other stuff. We're going to do a lot of blues, a lot of jazz, a lot of hard rock. We're going to do just everything in this album. And I really, really enjoyed Physical Graffiti. It's probably one of my favorite Zeppelin albums now. So that's 2 of them. One of the albums another one of those albums you listen to, it brings you back to a certain time. Pete Townshend's solo album, Empty Glass. It had a bunch of hits off there.
Is that the one with Athena?
No, this one has Rough Boys. Let My Love Open the Door.
Which is one of my favorite songs if you hear the acoustic version that's on the Grosse Pointe Blank soundtrack.
And then, there's that. So I also got a little old school. Rolling Stones, Between the Buttons. It's a great. Basically, this album came out. Now, this album just was released. This wasn't a best of singles album. Let me just roll through here. Let's Spend the Night Together. Ruby Tuesday. Just hit up Miss Amanda Jones. It's just like hit after hit after hit. Great album. It's not too long. It plays like a singles album, but it's not really good stuff. And the latest album here is one that I don't have the case for. I broke it. It's a album called, you probably never heard this. It's called Ultraviolet Scene. They had like 3 albums at the end of the 80s and the beginning of the 90s. And it's an album called Rev. And it is electronica, but it's hard rock electronica. It's nothing like I usually like. I love this album so much that I played it hundreds of times. I've never gotten sick of it. And I don't know one other person that knows anything about this band or cares about it. I mean, they're on probably, you could look them up. They're a band that pops up on Wiki or whatever. But nobody at the time I knew listened to it. I found it years later. Ultraviolet Scene, just really, really good. Late 80s, early 90s electronic rock. It's actually electronic rock that plays like the guys actually knew how to play their instruments and used electronica to support that, not just like, hey, we're just going to we're going to do like Depeche Mode does and just turn on all our electronic stuff and just go beep, 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 beep. And there's a song. I'm sorry. I'm not a huge Depeche Mode fan. I think they skate a lot on some of their songs, but Ultraviolet Scene. So those are my albums this week. Jim, you said you got.
I got a couple movies. Let's talk about things that hold up. Let's talk about something that holds up really, really well, which is Office Space.
Oh yes.
Oh my God.
Meme-orama.
Yes. So Office Space is without a doubt one of my favorite movies of the last 25, 30 years. It's reason why we now have red swing line staplers. It's all sorts of clever, smart writing from Mike Judge. We were talking about how the revival of King of the Hill is so spectacular.
Oh, yes.
This is why. It's Mike Judge. We could spend an entire 2 hours on why I think Silicon Valley is one of the smartest television shows in the last decade. But Office Space proved that he could go in different directions and make something really spectacular. But then the other one is, dear God, I can't believe I'm going to recommend this, but I am, just because nobody else will. The Happy Time Murders. What happens when Jim Henson's son decides to make an R-rated Muppet movie? The Happy Time Murders is what you get. And so I mean, it's a Melissa McCarthy vehicle, and I'm still trying to understand why she agreed to do this. There's a lot of people in this movie where you think they just took this because they needed to make a mortgage payment. It was not a big hit, but there are laugh out loud moments in the Happy Time Murders. It is a hard R. It is Muppets doing things you just wish you didn't know that Muppets did. There are scenes in it that you will just like, whatever you do, dear God, don't show this to children. But it is really and truly one of the funniest movies I've seen. Now, I watch it like once a year, and I still like, there are parts of it where I just go, oh my God, I can't even believe I'm seeing this. Now, Mike, I want you to, have you seen it, haven't you?
Oh, this movie? Yes.
Oh God, you've seen it, right?
Yes.
Like it's a hard-boiled detective novel in a yeah.
It's ridiculous because everybody has to have, everybody acts with straight face
and
because
silly and
everybody has to act straight face.
But it's worth a watch just because now you know what happened, right? Jim Henson had a family while he's making all these shows, and it's clearly had an effect on his children, and the Happy Time Murders is a result. So yeah, but if you've never seen it, check it out of your library or whatever.
It's weird enough that if you like cult movies, you would definitely love this movie.
It's on Prime. It's on Amazon Prime, and
God.
really and truly, Pulp Fiction and this would be a hell of a duo. Just anyway.
Nice. Can I throw two out there?
Yeah, hit it.
All right.
Let's go.
Because so my wife's up in Michigan with family this week, so they always get to monopolize the TV, and so I decided the other night I was going to, and I'm sure most of our viewers have seen these. I put on The Dogs of War with Christopher Walken. I have not watched it in a very long time, which immediately you had to pull out the Jack Daniels and enjoyed the hell out of it. And how he did not win an Oscar for that movie, I don't know, because he's absolutely stupendous. And I followed that up with The Wild Geese.
Oh, wonderful movie!
Oh, if you've never watched The Wild Geese, right? You need to watch it. And I'm gonna open the door a little bit. If all my veteran buddies are gonna know this, but if you're any of us at even our age today, if your old commander walked through the door and said, "I've got a mission. It's in Africa. I need you to come. Let's go."
That's right.
And that's what that movie is. And guess what? It didn't matter who they were. They went because
They all went.
that's just who we are.
It's
And
a great movie.
it's a great
fabulous
movie, and it's a fun cast. And it's and you I mean, look, we all know Roger Moore for Roger Moore.
Oh, yeah.
He's actually pretty good in this movie.
Yeah.
I gotta give it to him. And man, yeah, the Ty's got them both on there. Just do yourself a favor, watch them back to back. Oh my God, just absolutely. Now, don't stay up to 2:00 in the morning drinking Jack Daniels like me and watch them. But that's how I roll.
I expect texts for whenever you're watching tonight. By the way,
So tonight I'm probably changing it up a lot. I think it's going to be the 2 Ewok adventure movies. I'm probably going to watch Caravan and Courage, followed by the second one, which the name's escaping me right now for some reason. The Ewok adventure movies are fan. Actually, I like the Caravan and Courage. Kind of sucks, but the second one with Wilford Brimley, it's fucking great.
Oh yeah,
Is a holiday? You need to throw the holiday movie on there.
No. Don't even classify those in the same.
But you have B. Author singing. You can't stay here.
Stop right there.
Pull the plug. We're done.
We're done.
That's it. I got to qualify.
Wow, this is ageism, and I can't believe you guys don't have the same respect for B. Author I do.
Your fetishes are yours and not ours.
That's between you and James Bond, man.
Thank you guys for having me on, by the way. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us. Really.
And I'm glad to see it not only funded, but it certainly seems to be picking up some steam.
Thank you guys for all your support. Yeah, hey, and we're in what they call the middle, right? The doldrums of a Kickstarter. We're in the middle.
Yeah.
And I appreciate everyone who's supporting us out there. You won't regret it, by the way. These books are gonna be so much fun. I mean, you're gonna get just a lot of fun. Period. Yep. You'll enjoy it.
Nice.
Thanks again, guys. And Mike, I'll see you at LongCon.
LongCon. This is my break. I had like 6 cons in a row.
I know you and Gary are running wild.
Dude, I'm getting too old for this shit. I'm gonna go to ReaperCon for one day to see Ron, who runs Reaper, and then see Angela Emery, along with Gary's going with me, and then we will have nothing to do till LongCon. So I can't wait to see everybody at LongCon.
I'm really pumped for it.
Yeah, I'll be refreshed and rested and ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, can't wait.
Folks, real quick, thanks to Mike, thanks to Jim, obviously thanks to Bill for joining us. Everybody in the chat, you've all been greatly appreciated. Next live stream is Saturday. Rach came back from her 5-day excursion in Orlando with our son, daughter-in-law, and our niece. So she was back on Saturday. Yes, last week I was literally home alone. I wasn't staying up. Let me grab that. I've got so many things, folks. By the way, the link to the Kickstarter is on the screen right now. It's been on the screen throughout the show. For Ty, there's the link. It'll take you right to it. We picked up a couple of backers throughout the show. I was watching.
Oh no, definitely more than a few. I checked. I looked at a couple an hour ago. Definitely, we really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
Okay, so
getting us closer to our next Darlene piece of artwork. So I keep saying that, but I'm just telling you. Anytime I get to talk to Darlene, I get jazzed. So
good. She's such a beautiful person.
No, she's wonderful. And basically. She's doing work on every single project. By the way, she's doing work on Vampire Queen. She's doing work on the campaign apparel. She's doing work on Dungeon X. We've got her kind of booked out this year, which is really exciting. And speaking of Dungeon X, you might see a map in there that will remind you slightly of another work she did a long time ago. So,
interesting.
Yeah,
Easter eggs. I love it. All right, folks. As always, thank you. God bless. I'll see you on the flip side.